What's up, guys? Maritime Spook here, and once again, it is a freaking rainy day outside. This year, right now, it's tipping season. If you guys remember back different years, and especially on Instagram, I post pictures of out picking tips, fur tips. I mentioned it in a previous video just recently. With the rain, though, you can't do it. That people don't buy wet tips for one, and for two, it just makes it a heck of a hard time. And it's better when it's really cold because the brush breaks better. And of course, why we're picking the tips is to get fingertip to elbow, usually size fur tips that people can take and wrap into reeves. So 40 cents a pound this year. That's actually the best it's been in like years. So you get 100-pound sticks, 40 bucks. A decent picker can go out and get 3 or 4 sticks. Some people get 6 or 7. I have buddies that can make 300 bucks at that price a day. I move at my own pace, and I could easily make 100 bucks in a day. So to me, that's pretty good. But with rain, can't. So I'm out here in the garage, guys, doing a couple different things and kind of just getting out and getting some air around the yard. And I figured I'd do a video. And first off, guys, I'm going to put a link in the description to my buddy Ambrose. His channel is John Doe Outdoors. It used to be John Doe like archery channel, but it's John Doe Outdoors. I'm going to put a link in the description. And him and I, over the last couple weeks, or at least, sorry, last week or so, have been talking a lot about the Grohmann knives. That was one of the most requested videos for me as doing knife reviews to do. There's reasons why I didn't do those videos. And curiosity's gotten the cat, guys, and I watched another cool channel, which is Bushcraft North of 60. And he has a whole gaggle of them, different Grohmanns and stuff. But what intrigued me more was actually the design of the knife, besides the knife maker. And what I have here, guys, you'll see in the title, is a Cold Steel, recreation of that knife, of the number 1. Just a little bit of history on the knife, guys. A lot of you guys like when I talk about some of the history. D.H. Russell, it was a knife dealer, and he actually came to a Czechoslovakian immigrant who was Mr. Grohmann. And when he came to Mr. Grohmann, he says, I'm disappointed with the amount of actual Canadian knives out on the market. This is in the 1950s. I have a good design. We'll tweak it a little bit, and if it plays out well with people, I'll get you to make and sell the knives. So that was fine. They got on the ball and they made some prototypes. Now they took like 10 prototypes and they gave them out, which is kind of what companies do now. So this is back in the 50s though. They went around to hunters and trappers and they gave out these 10 knives. And these were to reputable hunters and fishermen and things like that. That were well-known, hunting guides, people that ran successful trap lines, stuff like that. So they went and gave the knives out, and like the resounding yes of the whole 10 people came back and said, for one, where can I get another one? My buddy wants one, or, I want to buy another one myself in case something happens to this one because I love it. They just love the design. And you can see, guys, it's actually a different looking knife. It's what you have called, is it elliptical handle? Or elliptical blade. So it's got this shape to where it's going up, and what that allows is a lot of belly to be able to, in this position, contact. But when you flip it over, you're not getting any resistance on the bottom end for when like you're skinning an animal, because these weren't meant as, nowadays, guys, we get caught up with what a bushcraft knife is. A bushcraft. There's so many things that bushcraft knives should be able to do. 99% of knives back, especially in 50s and way before then, were more or less for getting game, getting food, gutting your fish, making money cuts on fur, which is your money cuts is how you can go around and skin a fur correctly to be able to make, get the most money out of it. So that was a big deal. So that's what knives were more geared towards and focused on. That's why if you go back in the 50s and, even, we'll say from like the 1930s to like 50s or 60s, a lot of knives were either a combat knife for the military or a hunting knife, and because that's what it was focused on. This bushcraft genre has only started in the last, we'll say, a couple decades of that type of bushcraft knife. Other than the Sami and those Puukos, that's a whole different thing, which I'm going to do a video on that. So, the Canadian belt knife, guys. This one is a good, we'll say, replica of it. But of course, the Grohmann knife, you can get the D.H. Russell still to this day, the number 1. That's what this one's based off of. And they also have a Canadian military version that has 2 or 3 different names. The guys in the military call it the steak knife because it resembles a steak knife to them. Is the jump knife because they're jumping, paratroopers jumping out of planes with them. And that's why they have the overflap sheath. And what was the other? Well, there's another one that they call the yacht knife, or the boat knife. That's right. Because some of them would come with a marlin spike for undoing ropes and whatnot on ships. So very popular knife for the military. That was based off of the number 1, but it wasn't a number 1. And that's one I was saying, like Ambrose, John Doe Outdoors, he actually went and got one of those in a trade, and he really likes it. We talked about a trade, but he really likes the knife. I was fine with that because eventually I may end up at some point maybe getting a number 1. But one thing I will say, guys, is before you ever do that, if you can get one of these, or even if a friend has one, check out one of these Cold Steels, because I actually have held in hand a Grohmann, the D.H. Russell number 1, where I used to live in St. Andrews, where all my old videos were taped on the coast. There was a gift shop there, and they actually sold Grohmann knives. So I went on in and fondled them quite a few times. So I know the feeling of the number 1, and actually the boat knife. I kind of liked the feeling of them. But the number 1 always resonated with me. For 1, for the history, and for 2, it was just a great knife, utilitarian-wise. This is the second one of these I had. I actually gave gifted the other one to a lady friend of mine a few months ago. As a good utility knife for her. She has a little partial hobby farm going on where she has chickens and eggs and all that, and I thought that would be a good knife for around the hobby farm for her. I'm pretty sure she likes it. So the sheath on the Cold Steel is great. Drainage hole there, polypropylene type of deal. Locks in there very good. It's got the almost Mora type interlocking belt piece there. So just not a bad little package, guys, for around 20 bucks. You can get them cheaper than that. Sometimes they're a little bit more. But I ended up picking up another one of these yesterday at Army Surplus Store, about an hour away from where I live. Just to basically, because I really liked it, the utilitarian part of it. We're going to do a few more videos on it as far as doing more bushcrafting with it. Because in all honesty, guys, I carried this more as like an EDC type knife. Opening packages, doing food prep. Great knife for food prep. This one here is the hollow ground one, and it is 4116 German stainless steel, which takes a very good edge, and it seems to be a pretty good steel as far as toughness. I wouldn't go out batoning the heck out of this thing, but good for a lot of tasks. So we'll get out, guys, and do some more like bushcraft type of stuff. With it, I did a couple videos where I built a fish spear and built a spring pulse trap. I want to get out and do more stuff like that, so that'll be a good thing for this knife right here, and also for the Radops knife that I showed you there a few days ago. Gonna build something with that as well. But I just wanted to go over this with you guys and just share a little bit of the history, because it is a very iconic Canadian knife. You can actually, on the Grohmann website, you can actually get seconds for half price. They have scratches in them. A good series of good videos, and I'll put a link to his channel in the description as well, is that Bushcraft North of 60. He actually explains in some of his videos why they're seconds, because a lot of them, they'll come with a little red dot. This is from Grohmann, of course. They'll come with a red dot next to a scratch or a wormhole or something. Nothing that's going to affect the usefulness of the knife. Just something they weren't going to sell for cosmetically. Because a lot of people, guys, honestly, if they're like, oh my God, look at that little scratch, and instead of worrying about what the knife can do for you, they're more worried about what it looks like. So to me, I just get a second because I'm going to use it anyway. And you know, but they do have some nice ones that are good ones you could just put up as an heirloom too. So, but I recommend getting this one. It's not expensive. Try it out. Maybe something you like, maybe something you don't like, but it is a heck of a lot of history to it, and I like it. So, anyway, guys, Spook signing out. Canadian belt knife by Cold Steel. And check out, as I said, Ambrose's John Doe Outdoors channel and Bushcraft North of 60, and you'll find out a little bit from the North of 60 videos about the Grohmann, you know, seconds that he's bought. He's got a whole bunch, folders and the whole nine. And there'll be a video coming up on the John Doe Outdoors, Ambrose's channel, I'm sure, at some point with his Grohmann boat knife that he's got, or jump knife. So anyway, guys, stay safe. Links in the description to those buddies of mine. Take care.